Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Oozi Earth Adventure. I was about to say, this has become so much of a routine to say this is a little bit of a weird Let's Look at. You know what? This is a totally fucking normal Let's Look at of a collectible type platformer. You can think of it, it's almost like something along the lines of like a Rayman Origins or something. That's the easiest comparison I can make. And the reason I'm taking a look at this game right now is because it was originally available on Xbox Live Indie Games, where it came out episodically, I believe, in 5 episodes for $1 each. But now it is available on Desura, where you can pick up the whole package for $10. And they're doing a Greenlight campaign as well right now, which is another kind of incentive, I guess, or another reason why I'm taking a look at this right now. So we're just gonna boot in, despite the fact that I've just mentioned that the game has a Greenlight campaign, and this is gonna make me feel like kind of a bad dude. I kind of think Oozi Earth Adventure is maybe really bad. I hate to make light of that situation, but it's at least pretty bad in my opinion. I play a lot of platformers. There's a lot of problems. This game has basically every problem that I have with like generic platformers exists here. So let's talk a little bit about who we are and, you know, the kind of ability we have. We're playing as Oozi here, and I believe, based on the name of the game, I believe we've landed on Earth, in some like weird Planet of the Apes type scenario maybe, where it's a distant future or a distant past where everything is out to kill us. Like fucking acorns are deadly, there's spikes everywhere. I don't know if this is future Earth or past Earth, but in any case, everything is out to kill us. Except, you know, red things are bad, green things are okay, as is traditional platforming trope, I guess. So we have a very limited subset of abilities, at least right now. I'm not sure if we're going to gain more in the future, but we have a jump. Very recently, I gained a double jump. I've been playing for like 45 minutes, by the way, and we're still kind of on tutorial levels, which is another pet peeve I have with this game. We also have a stomp that I can use, but let's read this sign and see what we've got here. Spiders are invulnerable. Don't jump on them. Okay, well, that seems kind of arbitrary, but I can live with it. I mean, this level is called Arachnophobia. Can I at least stomp on them? No, stomping on them, they're invulnerable. Okay, I probably should have listened to that more literally. So basically, this is one of the most generic platforming games I think I've played in my entire life. That's not rare necessarily for a game to be coming from Xbox Live Indie Games. And you know, given that Xbox Live Indie Games kind of connection, it does actually look and play totally solidly. Unlike a lot of games on that platform, it's not, you know, broken. There's not breasts being flashed in my face at every available opportunity. But I'm not mincing words here. The game looks and plays very generically to me, and that's kind of a death sentence when it comes to a lot of platformers. The other major complaint I have, well, 2 major complaints I should talk about. We can't talk about one for just a second here. But I really dislike platforming games that have you collecting things for seemingly no reason. Like, I've been collecting these stars. I've got 39,000 lifetime points in this game, which, by my estimation, you know, it seems like a lot. Each one is worth like 20 to 100, I think. So that's a lot of collecting. But I don't see anything for it. And I don't necessarily mean, you know, I need RPG elements or something. I actually did just pick up a little extra health for picking up enough stars, but that's not really telegraphed that well. I just sometimes get lucky and notice that it happens. That's a checkpoint, by the way. We are also, water is bad for us, I should say. There's no water levels in this game, but touching water will kill you instantly, as opposed to, you know, just doing damage like one of those enemies will. But yeah, it kind of feels like I'm just collecting these stars for basically no reason. It kind of feels, and I made this complaint about Gianna Sisters, a game that this actually reminds me a lot of, although, to atone for myself and to placate the fans, I will say, Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams is a much, much better game than this overall. That was a tight jump there. Yeah, it seems like I'm just collecting this stuff for no reason. I wish it fed into some kind of, like, overall system, or at least at the end of a level, I got, like, a Rayman Origins style, like, sweet-ass, you know, United Way charity fundraiser thermometer, where all the stars that I got fed into that, and this, you know, like, lizard wizard looked like he was coming when I got a lot of them. I don't know, if you haven't played Rayman Origins, a lot of that sentence is probably not going to make any sense to you. That's what this game feels like to me, is a much worse version of Rayman Origins. And it's not necessarily fair to make that comparison in some ways, because I mean, oh, this is not good. It's not necessarily fair to make that comparison in some ways, because, you know, Rayman Origins is a AAA game. It had a lot of people working on it. It's a lot of established studios. This is probably made by, you know, just a few dudes sharing a studio space or something, or working out of their basement. But in some ways it is fair, because one of the pet peeves I have, or one of the complaints I should say, not necessarily a pet peeve, because it's not that common, but, this game is a little bit overpriced. It's definitely sitting... Ah, that was awful. I apologize for my poor play, by the way. Let's just blame it on the fact that I'm talking at the same time. This game's a little bit more expensive than you might expect. Given that it originally came out on Xbox Live Indie Games, I was kind of expecting this to be in the $3 to $5 range. And I mean, episodically, it was released on Xbox Live Indie Games. Oh, that was fucked up. That one was not my fault. This game is super easy, by the way. I'm just botching it in the worst way possible. But yeah, it came out episodically, so I believe it was like 1/5 of the game came out at a time. But it could, in all fairness, it could have been 10 episodes of the game, but I don't believe it was, given the length of what I've played so far and how far it says I'm through the game. But yeah, let's not beat around the bush. This is $10 on Desura, and you know they're pushing a greenlight campaign. Presumably this will be $10 on Steam as well. And again, if we're being 100% honest, this is a platformer that is not worth $10. That's putting it in really good competitions, shall we say. I mean, even things, if you look at like Mark of the Ninja was only $10, or was $15, sorry. You know, Braid was in that price point. Super Meat Boy was $15. So in that $10 to $15 range, you got to be offering something pretty special, I think, to stand out, rather than just being a fairly generic platformer. This reminds me a little bit of, oh, what was that platformer you played last year? Storm in a Teacup. You're just in a teacup. I think that started on Xbox Live Indie Games, or mobile too. And you're just tooling around in a teacup, and it looks super generic. Oh my god, I can't believe I got fucking killed again. This is a disaster when it comes to play here. Again, I can't stress enough that I found the game easy so far, but I know people are going to be frustrated with my gameplay, but that's okay. Let's just focus instead of talking about the negatives in the game. Let's just focus on actually collecting some shit and surviving for a while. Because there are, I mean, these are long levels. There's a lot of checkpoints, but the levels are long. Usually, even if you don't die as much as I've died, which, you know, has been kind of insane. I've already died like 5 or 6 times in the same spot here. You know, these levels can run you 8-10 minutes each, so, you know, this is level 5. Like I said, I've pumped about 45 minutes into this game, and it's still tutorializing things. Like, that's, I know I said I was going to stop complaining, but one of my major complaints about this game, among the other 7 or 8 things I've talked about, it tutorializes the shit out of things. When are we, as like a consumer base, going to decide that we don't need any more tutorialization when it comes to platforming games? I know A is jump. I know, you know, tap A twice to double jump if double jump exists. I know you just gotta stomp on enemies if you don't have anything to throw at them or punch them. I know all this stuff. You don't need to laboriously explain it to me in signs and stuff like that. I know spikes are bad. They do it in a cheeky way. They're like, spikes are bad. You know, aliens don't like water, so, you know, maybe you should try to avoid it. And I'm like, okay, well, I get that your tone is clever and somewhat mocking, I suppose, and that's cool, but at the same time, how about just not telling me that stuff? How about just showing me that stuff instead? I would feel a lot better about that. Finally, we've made it to the checkpoint. Normally, I don't struggle this much with this game. And like I said, things have been pretty easy so far. That was a rare example of me just totally botching things. That happened in the Gianna Sisters video too, man. Shit on the platformer, call it too easy, and then, you know, eat crow as you just suck as you move along. So, I mean, there are certain extra elements that I'm not talking about here. Every level, as you might expect, given that this is a platformer, has 5 extra, like, collectible special stars, and if you find those, you get access to a bonus level, I believe. I haven't been able to find all 5 yet, and, you know, really, that hasn't been much of a concern for me. I've mostly just been concerned about finishing the levels, because these levels are, in a way, they're kind of laboriously long. Again, I mean, we're spoiled when it comes to the platform genre, that we have, you know, games like Mario, games like Rayman Origins, again, to make that comparison is probably a little bit tired at this point. But those games, you know, they move fast and furious. They keep things going. They have momentum. This game gets, like, to be kind of a slog. Like, this is an example of where I'm like, okay, I get that there's a sign here. The sign is going to tell me what to do. Wouldn't this be, at least in my opinion, a little bit more fun if this sign was not here and we just had to kind of, like, take a guess? Like, I'm assuming we have to jump on this thing. Maybe we have to bounce. Let's take a look. Water bubbles. Water bubbles bounce you into the air. Use them to get past the water. Like I said, if that sign had not been there... Oh, that was terrible. If that sign had not been there, I probably would have just figured it out instantly, and I would have felt better for it. I would have felt a better sense of satisfaction. Sadly, it kind of takes away from it a little bit, because it tutorializes everything. It's like your mom, you know, you're doing your homework or something in 2nd grade, and she's like, oh, that was awful, of course. She's like, honey, you know 7 plus 7 is 14. You're like, fuck, Mom, I know. Just let me learn something on my own. That's where the sense of achievement comes from in this game. It's not from you. It's not from getting the right answer. That was abysmal as well. I mean, the thing is, you're supposed to hit A at the time that you hit the bubble to jump on it. And I keep hitting it in midair instead and double jumping. So I apologize for that. That's a little bit better. It does require a little bit more focus. But just let me figure out some things for myself, game. Let me enjoy having a sense of discovery here. We can also, that one, I enjoyed the tutorialization on those tree branches, because you do have to do like a butt stomp on those. Oh, I'm not quite dead somehow. Spiders are invulnerable. By the way, these are the weirdest looking fucking spiders I've ever seen in my life, and we are just gonna die here. This game's kind of a drag. You might be wondering, you know, fair play to you if you're saying right now, well, okay, if the game's a drag, you really have no one to blame but yourself. Like, why are you taking a look at this game? It's not on Steam, it's not on Xbox Live Arcade or anything like that. The reason is, I know there's people out there, well, it's two-pronged. One is, there's not much else coming out, so I'm taking what I can get from a new game and content perspective here. But the second reason is that I know there's people out there that dig collectathon. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Dig collectathon platforming games. I know there's guys out there who like Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams. I'm not one of them. But in case you missed this, when it first came out, this is now my way of giving this game some exposure. And, you know, maybe there's enough people out there that like this sort of stuff to get it on green light. And who am I to say, you know, don't vote for this? It's definitely not my kind of game. I don't like collectathon platformers in general, so, you know, if I'm being totally fair here, I already have a certain negative bias against this game beyond the literal problems I have with it. It's just not my kind of game. Yeah, so I mean, that's why I'm doing it. I really do think, I think $10 is outrageous for this, given, that was kind of close, given the quality of the game, the unique things that it offers, which is basically nothing, not to be annoying or anything like that, or like try to be overly harsh, but look at it. I mean, it plays like a middling platformer from the Super Nintendo era. It's not like the next Super Mario or anything like that. At least Gianna Sisters tried to have you know, an interesting mechanic between, you know, switching the colors and stuff like that. The other complaint that I have is that, you know, in the story's all told in these like interstitial loading screens, basically, as you move between levels. That's where they introduced the new gameplay mechanics. Like, for the first 2 levels, or maybe 1 level, I didn't have a double jump. And then, during the loading screen, my guy's just like, in a still panel, is just like, I found a piece of my spacesuit. And now I can double jump. And I'm like, okay, well, wouldn't that have been way more interesting if you'd actually, like, introduce that in the game, rather than, like, I come across a piece of my spacesuit, like, in Gateways or a Metroid game or something, and I understand what I'm supposed to do now? It's like, oh, you got rocket boots, you can double jump. Instead, we're in this weird position where the game's like, hey, for seemingly no reason, you can double jump. And, oh, okay, cool, game. I don't understand why, but if you want to, like, arbitrarily change your gameplay mechanic like that, you can. So there's a little puzzle right there, and I use puzzle very loosely, because it's not really a puzzle, and I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, but, you know, we had to just do a little bounce to get the... You gonna come out here, Snail? Yes, you are. We just had to do a little bounce to get that, crate to fall. And we're gonna pick up one of these, golden stars here. We're not gonna get all of them. We got 3 of them, which is kind of, to be honest with you, better than I expected. I have one more pet peeve that I want to talk about with this game, and this might be the best opportunity to do it. I hate when games give you a double jump, but they don't let you double jump. Then again, for some people it's going to seem incredibly minor, but they don't let you double jump when you fall off a ledge. You might have seen it right there. But this game has a double jump. It happens in a lot of games, but if I fall off the edge, simply cannot do a jump in midair. It makes no sense to me, but I'm not really... Same with bouncing on enemies. Can't do a double jump off that. I'm not worried about immersion breaking or how this doesn't make sense within the physics of either the game or the real world. I'm more worried about the fact that this seems like counterintuitive from a gameplay standpoint. I'm like, you know, if I bounce on an enemy, I should be able to do a midair bounce. If I fall off an edge, I should be able to do a midair bounce. It just feels better. I mean, most good platforming games I've played, just they intuitively feel good, and things like this, again, I don't give 2 shits about breaking immersion as I die again for like the 8th time. What I do care about is the fact that it just feels not good, and that's unfortunate. So, you know, as you die, you still, I don't know, I guess we didn't even need that crate there. You lose the stars that you had before, so you have to go back and recollect them, but I've never really had much incentive to do that, so instead I just tend to rush through the levels. Again, notice how long these fucking levels are. I mean, that's not necessarily a negative thing, but it is something that has impacted my enjoyment of the game. I wish it was a little quicker moving, which is I mean, it seems if these levels were amazing, I would love it, but the levels are fairly generic. If they at least moved quickly, I would probably enjoy it a little bit more. We've got to be getting fairly close to the end of this one, though. Surprised they didn't teach me, like, hey, sometimes you gotta jump over spiders. Don't just try to avoid them the normal way. Again, I bring this up now and then, but it reminds me of the sequelitis episode for Mega Man that Ego Raptor did. I almost expect, like, some little girl to come in and, Mega Man, or Oozi, you gotta jump over the spiders using the A button. I know, I understand. Sorry, Ego Raptor, not trying to ape your style there by any stretch of the imagination. Let me bounce on the enemy. It would make the game a little bit more fun, and that's kind of what it needs right now. That's pretty terrible for me. Again, you know, you go through a period where you're invulnerable after you hit an enemy, but during that period, you're also fucking, you know, comatose and useless. So I tried to grab the vine after touching... I tried to grab the vine after touching the spider, but could not because apparently my hands had gone into a state of shock. In terms of controls, I mean, resisting all temptation to be overly negative, the game controls okay. I like to compare games to Mario and Super Meat Boy in this sense, but I'm trying to move away from that because it's not fair to every platformer game to be like, herp derp, it doesn't control like the best platformers ever made. So, I mean, I'm being a little bit lenient here. It kind of feels like, oh my god, the fucking acorns, man. It kind of feels like, you know, when you're on the ground, he controls like you're trying to taxi a 747 to the runway or something. It's pretty heavy, but when you're getting the air, he's super floaty and much easier to control. I think the air controls work fine. But on the ground, it kind of feels like he's heavy like a Castlevania character or something, which is maybe the best non-derogatory way to put it. Now, again, the game went to rigorous lengths to teach me not to jump on the enemies that have visible spikes on their heads. So we're gonna go to that's the end of the level here. I only found one secret star apparently, which is pretty embarrassing. Now we'll see a loading screen as we boot into this level. Or are we gonna get to a boss or something? Yes, okay, so this is gonna be our first boss fight. We're gonna see how this works. Maybe this will turn my opinion around entirely. I kinda like this presentation. You know, Oozi, yellow, and not so smart alien versus big, ugly, and really furious spider. How are we gonna do this is the real question. Just gonna keep moving around like this. He's gonna throw something at me. It's gonna be a spider. Just gonna keep moving. I have no way to do damage to him beyond jumping on him, so I'm assuming, yeah, we're just gonna wait until I run into a position where I can actually hit him, or he gets tired out and he just kind of waits on the ground. Yep, that is exactly what I anticipate. Oh, stomp him, I'm guessing. There we go. Alright, so I mean, I have a soft spot for these boss fights. I realize they do nothing new, but I always like boss fights like this in platforming games. It shouldn't be that difficult for me, but again, I'm imagining things are going to get harder and harder as we move along here. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't stomp him there, it's because he's red, and the game has gone to great lengths, again, to indicate to me that red things are not to be touched under any circumstances, even though it would probably make a little bit of sense. So this should be, he's hurt. We stomp on him again. We get incredible frame rate issues for some reason. Any second, there we go. Not sure what's up with that. That's probably an interaction. I have to say this in full disclosure. It's probably an interaction between the game and Fraps. It's not just the game itself. So I don't want to be, you know, potentially damning the game for things that aren't its fault. Oh my god! Again, the double jump just doesn't feel satisfying, man. Okay, I get it. He also stinks. Hilarious. Presentation is out of control. These boss fights are obviously all about trial and error. We had a weird little zoom in there and kind of saw the edges of the game map. I should just be jumping like this. This will help me not take damage on that, like, first segment. And then we'll do this. I mean, it feels kind of tired. Like I said, though, I have a soft spot for these kind of boss fights. So, you know, it's the kind of thing that at least it provides some variety from just running around collecting things for seemingly no reason. So we're going to do our stomp here. He's hurt. And we'll continue this whole cycle again. So if you're looking for more information on this game, because we are going to end this... Oh, that was awful. We are going to end this Let's Look At probably after this boss fight. Win or lose. It should be win, unless I make some horrible mistakes here, which is certainly not out of the question. But I will put some links in the video description below if you want to check it out. I believe there is a demo available on Desura, so, you know, play it for yourself, feel the controls for yourself, and see if I am totally off base in my criticisms, as I, you know, sometimes admittedly might be. I will also, you know, you can buy it on Desura if you want. It's $10.02 Canadian, which is kind of weird. I'm not sure if that translates differently to euros or to American dollars, or if that's just an unusual price. But in any case, yeah, you can check it out there if you want. I will also put a link to the game's Greenlight campaign if you want to vote for it. Obviously, voting for it is free, but the spirit of Greenlight is that you're only supposed to vote for it if it's something that you would buy if it was actually available on the platform. And, you know, from my perspective, this is not something I would buy if it was available on Steam. It was something that I would feel very bad about buying in all actuality. Do we have the oh, finally, this should be the end of the boss fight. He's dead. Only his eye remains. You win. New challenge level unlocked. I don't really care about those tertiary modes in platforming games. I apologize for that. Okay, so the big, ugly, and really furious spider was defeated, and I regained another part of my suit and my gloves. I was ready to search for my spaceship. I told you, man, just let me Mega Man style. The gloves drop from the ceiling, I slob my hands into them, and then it teaches me what to do. Instead, we're probably gonna have a sign here that's gonna teach me what my gloves do. I am gonna end this Let's Look At, I promise. But first, I just want to see what the gloves do, and hopefully give you an example of the kind of or not storytelling, but game mechanics they explain here. Yep, I'm guessing this is it. Let me guess, they make me climb. Yes, okay, so I can wall climb now. I don't even need to read the sign, but I hate that that's how it happens. Jump onto a wall. When Oozi is holding onto the wall, you can jump by pressing A. This should all be introduced faster and faster. Why am I just learning about the wall jump an hour in? I mean, I get Metroidvania mechanics, but they're not introduced very well. In any case, this has been Oozi Earth Adventures. If you're into collection-style platformers and you've already, you know, exhausted Rayman Origins and Gianna Sister's Twisted Dreams, maybe you're interested in this. I'm not going to judge you or shit upon you for your personal preferences, basically. It's not a slight at all, is what I'm trying to get at. You know, check out the links in the video description below. Good luck to the developers on their Greenlight campaign. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.